Welcome back to Rare Elvis Photos. It is cold outside. Not too cold inside, but I'm getting ready to go back outside and drive down to Lowe's. So I did want to do some reading. Somebody asked me to read some more of Ed Parker's Inside Elvis. So before I get started, thank you to all you subscribers in 2024 and the new ones in 2025. To all the super thanks you guys have sent me. They're very wonderful. I appreciate that. All the comments that you leave. I think last month there was 7,000 comments on the channel. That's a lot. I try to get through and heart and like all of them if I can and respond to some of those, and that's kind of why I do the comment videos every once in a while. But you know, you can look forward to more Derry Matera in 2025. Of course, probably some more Ronnie McDowell, more Billy Stanley, more Michael Peterson, and some other folks that I'm hoping to get on here that is associated with Elvis in some way, including Norbert Putman, which would be great to have on our channel to talk about Elvis in the recording studio. Maybe even Tony Brown, who went on, you know, he's a piano player, went on to play, well, produced George Strait, among others. So on Inside Elvis, and if there's anybody you know that's associated with Elvis that you think may want to come on here and talk to the channel, just email me, rareelvisphotos@gmail.com. That's how both Derry Matera and Billy Stanley turned out to come on the channel, was because some folks emailed me about them. All right, part 3. This is a great little picture. Elvis and the 60s. The next few years seemed to race by. I saw Elvis only on occasion. He was heavily engaged in filmmaking, spending most of his time at the studio or on location. Our meetings were sporadic during those years, and he stayed in touch by referring students to me. Now, hardly a month went by without someone, somewhere, approaching me to either take lessons or relate their experience with Elvis. His interest in and enthusiasm for the martial arts, it was constant. He gave impromptu demonstrations on the movie lots and on locations, showing either defensive tactics or board breaking. He also began to employ elements of the martial arts in some of his films. Let me talk about that real quick. First off, all martial arts should be self-defense. You don't want to use your martial arts skills or talents or learnings to go beat somebody up, you know? That's why I learned it when I was a teenager and into my adult life, because you know, you want to be able to handle yourself if something happens, just like Elvis had to handle himself. But you don't want to take that knowledge and use it on somebody else. That's not attacking you. So keep that in mind. You know, Elvis was teaching everybody self-defensive tactics, you know, or board breaking. He also began to employ elements of the martial arts in some of his films. Elvis was not obliged to do what he did. He owed me nothing. I took care not to impose on him. Yet, Elvis continued his policy of promoting his friend all the years that I knew him. Sounds like Elvis, doesn't it? Always giving. He referred students and introduced me to his audience during Las Vegas shows, placed my Karate Association logo on the face of his guitar, recommended my school to his fans, and numerous other complimentary gestures. And that's a true friend right there. Why did he do this? To gain my favor? No, that's laughable. No, he did it out of friendship, precisely as he had done with so many of his friendships. Elvis was spontaneous, but it would be naive to think that he always helped people without planning. This certainly was not the case. I have seen Elvis strategically plan a surprise for other friends with the utmost detail. His motives, other than the times that I have seen him plan mischievously, were to help others with no thought of personal gain. I have seen him give things to total strangers on sheer impulse. Now, it was through Elvis that I met the late Nick Adams. Nick and Elvis were close friends. They spent time chumming around together, and Nick was a very aggressive person. There was nothing shy about him. He was small in stature, but he walked with an air of confidence that bordered on arrogance. In reality, He was enthusiastic, outgoing, reliable, and a well-organized go-getter. Nick made a daily checklist of people he was to see and those to be contacted by phone or letter, and he followed it to the T. Nick was aware of the value of communication. There was never doubt in his mind that his profession depended upon it. Nick's extroverted appearance hid a fear of getting hit during a fight scene. Elvis knew this. He assured Nick that knowledge of the martial arts would eliminate this fear. Elvis finally convinced Nick to study with me by promising him that it would help his acting. Now, Nick alluded to this fact time and time again, and we soon became good friends, dining, partying, and visiting each other frequently. Now, visiting Nick on the Paramount lot was a frequent pastime. Sometimes it was for a lesson, and sometimes, well, we just socialized. On one of those visits, I learned that Elvis was on the lot filming interior scenes for his movie, Blue Hawaii. We immediately dropped by the set to see him. Now, the set was closed to the public, but good old Nick got us in without any difficulty. Elvis was cheerful that day, bubbling with enthusiasm and happy to see both of us. Well, we hugged each other, the common warm welcome that Elvis displayed with his close friends, and we talked between shots. Nick had to leave to film a Rebel episode, so I remained talking intermittently with Elvis, Red West, and the rest of the group. Now, the conversation with Red and the others was interesting. There was a definite rapport, a mutual respect. I had confidence in Red's ability to protect Elvis, and I was happy to know that he surrounded himself with such physically capable men. Now, we talked about their trip to Hawaii. See, they had already filmed a major part of the movie there, and conversed about mutual friends and acquaintances. When Elvis returned from shooting one of the scenes, I thanked him for the courtesies that he had extended to a first cousin of mine in Hawaii. During the filming in Hawaii, Elvis's set had been closed to the public. Now, a first cousin, Charles Parker, asked one of the guards on the set to relay a message to Elvis, and the message simply stated that Charlie was my first cousin, and a good musician, I must add, and that he would like to have an opportunity to just say hello. Well, Elvis's immediate reaction was to shut down production. He gave Charles his undivided attention for at least 15 minutes before resuming his shooting schedule. Now, production time is costly, but to Elvis, people were valued above money. This was typical of Elvis, impulsive, unpredictable, but extremely hospitable to his friends and amiable to those related or associated with him. To Elvis, loyalty was as fundamental as breathing. His approach to life was any friend of his is a friend of mine. Now, he is particularly sensitive to family ties. Now, in this particular instance, Elvis had gone out of his way to make sure that my cousin felt welcome, letting him know that he had enjoyed talking with him and genuinely looked forward to meeting him again. Red was also jovial that day, and after we swapped stories about Hawaii, he began outwardly voicing to all that were present that he could whip anyone's tail, basically. He then looked at me and concluded by saying, "Except you, Mr. Parker." We have always had a good relationship, and to this day, I respect him. I respect him for his physical abilities. I was deeply moved when I later heard that he was no longer employed by Elvis, and was even more affected at the onset of all the controversy resulting from their breakup. I could not help feeling that Red, down deep, still really loved Elvis. I believe he got caught up in the emotional flare-up that got out of control. Now, even if I'm wrong, I would like to think that this is what happened. The sad part of it all is that Elvis told me with tears in his eyes that regardless of the controversy of which he was painfully aware, he still loved Red. In his own words, "I would have hired Red and Sonny back, regardless of what they're trying to do to me. I still love Red." What an enviable attitude. It was said in all sincerity, without malice or guile. The man's most admirable quality is the quality and the ability to forgive. What does one do in a case like this? The parting of friends, both of whom you love and wish to remain as friends? It reminded me of a divorced couple, both of whom deeply care for each other. Do you discard one and take sides with the other? No, you love both and wish that it hadn't happened. When one deliberately tries to hurt the other, you still love him, but you cannot condone the hurt that he has initiated. So, I wanted to get some reading in, so that's what I want to read at that part. I do want to say that I believe as well that Elvis still loved Red. And he would have forgiven him. He would have taken him back. You know, it's a sad thing. You know, Red was there in the beginning. Red, in a way, helped Elvis become famous. If Red hadn't stopped them boys from cutting Elvis's hair, first off, I don't think Elvis would have had the self-confidence and guts at that point in time in his life to continue bringing his guitar, to continue getting attention, to continue sitting out there by the tree and singing and playing private parties. That gave him somebody that he felt would stick up for him, and he wasn't in a world alone in high school. So it's very tragic that things happen the way they happen. That Vernon didn't give the 2 months notice or whatever it was, 2 weeks pay, I think it was 6 weeks pay or 8 weeks pay. It was something a lot more than Vernon gave the boys. And then Elvis wouldn't even talk to them because Elvis was embarrassed. Probably he probably was. Elvis didn't like not being able to help his friends, and at that point in time, when they let him go, he hadn't lined up the deal for the NBC or the CBS special. That brought in an influx of income in '77. But Elvis in '76, that was kind of one of his worst years when it came to recording songs and having them on the radio. And you know, he just got done with, he's still making all those payments to Priscilla, and he had a lot more sickness going on in his life. And then the lawsuits were happening. Then the whole thing with, I think it was '76 that the racquetball court business happened, where Elvis was on the hook for $1 million or $1.5 million or something. I mean, it's sad. It's unfortunate. And like Ed Parker says, he didn't condone what happened, but he felt that Elvis loved Red, Red loved Elvis, and it just got out of hand. And I think all of us can relate to something in our lives that got out of hand a little bit. We wish we could take it back, walk it back a little bit, right? Communicate it in a different way or do it in a different way. Anyhow, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm hoping to get 4 or 5 other readings of different books on the channel today for y'all. I've been late lately, so I want to bring you a little of everything I can, okay? TCB TLC, till next time. Thanks for making it to the end, MITTE. A lot of folks have been asking that are new to the channel, what does MITTE mean? Made it to the end. Or if it's a long video, survived it to the end. All right, take care.